welcome to this vlog today. Just going to have a little chat because we're on the cusp, like one day away from exchanging contracts. Crikey, never thought this day would come, but there we go. It's getting exciting. All we need now is for the restrictions to be eased slightly, and we can go off and start looking at some boats, which hopefully will be in the next week or so. And please come along and join us. And to do that, if you could subscribe to the channel, that'd be great. And then you can follow our journey. Click the bell icon as usual, and YouTube will notify you next time we upload a new video, which will hopefully be me and Jan looking around some boats. Jan does apologise for not being here today. As you probably know, if you've seen some of our earlier vlogs, you'll know that she is a key worker and she's out working every day. In fact, she works 11 days out of 14. So her spare time is very much precious to her, as you can appreciate. But just before we go on and look at the top 10 things that we're going to be doing, or have done, started at least, when you come to moving on to a narrowboat. A big thank you to all our new subscribers. Thank you very much for joining us. Your patronage is very welcome, and we hope you stick with us until we actually go out cruising as well. That'll be fun. So to start off, the first thing, of course, if you're like us, and I appreciate that not everybody is in the same situation that Jan and I are in, i.e. we're coming to retirement, so we are, if you like, winding down our careers and our jobs and actually going onto a boat to retire and relax. No more deadlines, no more bosses to work for. Thank goodness for that. Hooray! We can do what the hell we like. We can visit where we like and go when we need to go. And that sounds like a brilliant lifestyle. But like I say, we appreciate that not everybody's in the same position as us. But however, having said that, you may be in a situation where you are looking to buy and live aboard a boat. And it could be that you're still wishing to work. You want to downsize. You found that living in a house is not for you. And the call of the canals and the rivers is shouting at you loudly to say, come over to me. Certainly has done to us for the last goodness knows how many years. So we're answering that call and heading off into the sunset. Or you may be a young couple looking to buy your first boat, your first place, somewhere to live, somewhere to set down some sort of anchor, as it were. And you may have looked at flats, apartments, houses, even bungalows or whatever, and decided that rather than rent and give somebody else some money for their mortgage, you would like to buy something and actually own the place that you live. In which case then you'll be doing something very similar to us if you haven't already done so. Now, I appreciate that there are lots of forums, there are lots of places you can go for advice. What we've found, and what I've found in particular, is that sometimes that advice can be very patchy and not all of it is in one place. In other words, you have to go hunting around and searching the forums, going onto the Facebook groups, asking questions on Twitter, for instance. And it would be handy if everything was compiled into one easy to digest sort of system. So in a roundabout sort of way, and like I say, this is not going to be a one-size-fits-all solution, but it is certainly the 10 things that we've had to take into consideration in terms of our circumstances and our lifestyle. So please appreciate that some of these may be slightly different depending on who and what your circumstances are. I think the first thing to say, that obviously because of our age, is that we've accumulated quite a lot of stuff. And by stuff, I do mean things that you may have put away when you've moved house and never opened that box or suitcase since. It's certainly true here. We've got a shed. We've got two sheds actually, and the largest of the two sheds, we put in boxes and boxes of things when we moved here 16 years ago. And I can honestly say that until recently, we have never opened those boxes and still don't know what's in them until we came to look a few weeks ago. Now, that shed was quite full a few weeks ago, and I've slowly but surely been taking things out. Some of the stuff I've sent to the recycle tip. Some of the things are perfectly serviceable, and they've gone to a local charity shop who've been very grateful for them. And also, as a taxpayer, they've been able to claim back the tax on any sales of any of those things that we've given to them. And then there are some things that we've just had to throw away because they're completely useless. Also, during the summer, when we've had nice days, we've been able to help our local community and pass those things, a lot of which belong to our two girls, i.e. toys, books, cuddly things and stuff like that, which have all been cleaned, sanitised. We put them outside of the front of the house and offered them to the local community as freebies. And I have to say, quite a lot of those were taken up in the summer, especially the games. So one of the first things you think about, and one of the most asked questions I think on the forums, is to do with post. What happens to letters and mail that currently gets delivered to your house? There are various schemes that you can utilise, one of which is, and what we're doing, is using a family member's address as your postal address. It becomes basically a mail drop service. So our eldest daughter, will be taking all of our mail. She will be sorting it out, and I don't want you to think we've got sacks of mail. At the moment, it's a few bills and some Tesco club card points, and that's about it. But she will be taking our mail, and then anything that's urgent, she will either scan and send to us via email as an attachment, or if it does need a signature, she will post it on to us wherever we happen to be. Now, the service you can use for that, because bear in mind that you can moor up on the towpath, certainly, for in some places up to 14 days, is that you can register with the local Crown Post Office, and I believe it has to be a Crown Post Office, and that becomes your postal drop for that particular period of time. And I think they keep your mail for up to 10 days, and that service is called Post Restante. I'll put a note of that in the description. In fact, most of what I'll be pointing out to you today, I'll give links in the description below, so that you can have a look at the services that people provide. If you don't have a family member willing to take your post and deal with it for you, then there are a couple, at least two that I know of, small companies that will do exactly the same thing for a small fee. You can utilise their services for a small period of time or for a year, and renew that annually if you want to. What they do is they provide you with a legitimate street address and a postcode, so that for those organisations that need a street address and a postcode, you'll always have one. And then, of course, to do with post as well, whilst we're still on the subject, is that you need to set up with the post office a redirection service. This can last for anything up to 12 months. Dead easy to do. You just put your current address, name, and names of anybody who lives at the address that you want the post redirecting to, and then the address of where the post is going to be posted. That's fairly straightforward. Again, I'll pop a link in, and you can click on that and get yours set up if that's what you need to do. So there are a number of companies and organisations and government bodies that will need to know where you are. You can't run and hide from any of them, I'm afraid, much as I'm sure we'd all like to. So first one is probably your bank and credit card provider, and all they will need is a new address and way to contact you. To be perfectly honest, I get all my statements via email, and I'm pretty sure that most of you do as well. If you run a business or make some money on the side and need to keep accounts, then it's more than likely that you will print out those statements and keep them in a folder. But if you're like me, then you just keep them in a file on your laptop or on your computer. That's fairly straightforward. But those are the two companies, banks and building societies, that will need to know and be notified of your new address, your new details. Obviously, the other then organisation will be HMRC. The taxman needs to know where you are. Whether you're liable for tax or not, it really doesn't matter. They will need to know what your new address is and what your new contact details are. So they're on our list, certainly, of somebody to notify. Next up is the DVLA, Driver Vehicle Licensing Association, and they will need to know where you are, particularly if you've got a car and still plan on running a car or still plan on keeping your license. We're going to be keeping a car for a few months at least anyway, until we probably get seriously cruising next spring. But in the early days and the early weeks and months, we're more than likely to be keeping one of the two cars that we have between us. And so DVLA will need, again, that new address. And as you know, in our case, that will be our eldest daughter's address. Both Jan and I both have regular prescriptions. I've got a heart condition. Keep going, you fool, keep going. And I take regular medication. And I have a repeat prescription form that I fill in and pop into my surgery's letterbox, and then I pick up the prescription a couple of days later. So how's that going to work? Well, most things are electronic these days, and so are prescriptions and renewals, repeat prescriptions in particular. And these can also be delivered to you by any number of organisations, one of which is Well Pharmacy, and I believe that's probably the one that we'll be using. But what I have put a request in for is to increase my dosage from being 30 days to 90 days, so that I don't have to keep bobbing off and going to pick up a prescription every month. I can do it every 3 months instead. That seems like an easier way to work it. The other organisation you'll need to inform of your move as a nomad, as it were, is going to be your local council, your local authority. Currently, if you're paying council tax, and I'm sure you are, then you will notice that once you've moved onto your boat, then you certainly won't be paying any council tax. I do understand, though, and you will need to check this, that if you are in a marina and permanently based in a marina, then there may be some council tax that you will be liable to pay. I would certainly check that out with the marina that you're planning to be on before you go there, just so you know what the regulations are. But certainly for us, we will be telling them that we'll be moving off, and although we'll give them an alternative address, postal address, we will tell them obviously that will be of no fixed abode. The other organisation you'll need to notify is BT and your broadband provider, because you won't be using BT, you'll be using a mobile system presumably to get your Wi-Fi and broadband. We've been recommended this system, which is the Huawei B535. I believe that is the sort of go-to broadband system to use. Very handy in that not only can it take a 12 volt supply as well as 240, it can also have an external antenna attached to it, so that can be outside of your boat. The other one as well is the little MiFi unit, which can hang from a window. They're also very handy as well to have. So if you've enjoyed today and you've learnt a few things, and we've tried to compact quite a lot into a small space of time, if you've got any recommendations or anything to say or questions, please pop them in the comment section below. That'd be great. Don't forget a thumbs up for a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Ding! Oh, thank you, Jan. It's as if she's here in the room with me. And then by pressing the bell icon, YouTube will notify you next time we upload a video. In the meantime, happy boating. Bye for now.